Hi, Tom. Great to meet up with you and do some further work on your game. Just a quick recap on the key points that we covered. Regarding the long game after our game earlier last week, it was really talking about what happens through the hit. A lot of really good things going on in the golf swing. Due to where the hips are at P1, we can at times get a little bit too much shifting going on in transition, particularly with the driver when you try and sort of give it a good hit. Shift force can get a little bit high. That can cause the head to drop back just a little bit, get stuck. Other than that, things are looking nice. This session was really about shallowing out the angle of attack a little bit and improving your ability to bring the club out of the ground. So they were the two key things we wanted to look at and discuss this session. And we related it to what the lead leg does. You see the left knee gets well out in front of the left ankle, which is fine, which is good. We tend to keep the flex in that left knee all the way through the hit. That's creating a lot of downward. Also can potentially lead to you popping up and stretching the spine off too quickly, head coming off the wall, if you will. Which could lead to a push out to the right. But mainly what we see with yourself is tremendous amount of shaft lean, plane line that's shifted out to the right too far, and then quite a high rate of closure on the way through. So what we did to try and give you a feel for straightening this lead leg, and what we discussed was the fact that we need to attack this every time we practice. We want to learn to straighten the lead leg during and through the hit, raising the level of the belt and allowing the hips to tuck under in a more appropriate manner. And it's not a quick fix what we're looking for. It's just something that you do, that we need to keep chipping away at, make you a little bit shallower, create a little bit less shaft lean, which can get excessive at times, especially with your longer clubs. All stuff that we've talked about in the past. So what we're going to do is every time we practice, we're going to spend a little bit of time doing this drill. We're going to position a golf ball 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 balls back of your normal ball position. So the ball position we see here at the front is just your normal setup position for the 6-iron. And we've moved that ball position 5 balls further back, which is going to produce all things being equal, a much steeper angle of attack and a swing that's directed more out to the right. The first few shots you hit with this, everything was coming out low. The dynamic loft on the golf club was very low, as it was when you were hitting your normal shots with the swing that we see on the left. And what we said was that the ball being back will steepen the angle of attack, will potentially deal off the golf club. But we then threw an extra piece into the mix, and what we said was we want you to learn to hit it higher from a ball position that's a long way back. So, hitting it higher when you can just move the ball forward in the stance and add loft is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. But suddenly we're moving the ball back, steepening the angle of attack and asking you to figure out a way of hitting it higher. And it can be done. You prove that to yourself during this session. You actually started to have more dynamic loft. The swing that we're looking at on the right here shortly, you had more dynamic loft and a shallower angle of attack than the swing we see here on the left. Weight stays forward, ball's well back. This should be very steep, but what you start to do now, just going to sing these swings out, we start to go into the ground at a slightly lesser rate. So we take you back to P5.7, 5.8. You can see that there's a little bit less flex in the lead leg. There's a little bit less flex in the right leg. As these swings progress, you can see that the butt of the club doesn't get quite as close to the centre of the right thigh, which again is an act of widening the arc, shallowing the angle of attack. And the flex in the left leg starts to diminish. So what you're learning to do here is the only way you can get this golf ball to launch high with the ball so far back in the stance is by learning to get the club head catching up with the hands a little bit sooner. Something that, again, you know, when we look at your swing historically, you've struggled to get happening with driver. You get a lot of low face contacts with driver because there's a lot of shaft lean, a real sort of narrowing of the radius as you come through, which is great for power, impressive with your irons, but produces a lot of low shots with your longer clubs, a lot of bottom edge strikes with your driver. That's improved dramatically through, you know, other things that we've talked about, and you know, this move that we see on the left is far better than it used to be. But we just want to add to that. We want to really start to shallow out the angle of attack. So on the right, we've got a ball position that should produce a very steep angle of attack. But we're learning to shallow it out by extending through the hip, straightening the lead leg more and sooner, allowing the club head to match up with the hands a little bit more through the hip. And then extending the spine off through the hip is a subsequent effect. So the difference in the two finishes is quite marked. Learning to hit it high when everything's stacked against you. So ball's way back, weight's way forward, but you were able to hit these higher by using the ground and your overtaking rate to your advantage. The more you do that, the more we see that drill work its way into your actual swing. So this is you towards the end of the session, back to your normal ball position. At this point now, we see a little bit less flexing of the lead leg. Hips have started to calm down a little bit. Butt of the club not quite as far forward. Flexing the lead leg, not maintained for as long. And a much better extension of the lower body, the pelvis and the spine and the neck through the hip. So that's, you know, an hour and a half of practicing a simple drill, learning to hit it high when the ball's way back in the stance, and then just go back to your normal ball position. Once you get the feel for where the base of the arc is, the swing starts to tidy up and the whole thing just looks a little bit more balanced and not as excessive in some key areas relating to that steep angle of attack and that deep divot. Remember, as well as shallowing the angle of attack, we want to encourage the club to come out of the ground and start its ascent during the through swing. Good luck with you. Got any questions, feel free to drop me a line, send me a text or give me a call. Look forward to playing with you on the 17th. Hopefully myself and Colin won't give you and Mark too big a beating and you'll be able to get over it before the start of the 2016 season. Well done.